Hello and welcome to another session of Not Your Average Bible Studies. My name is Allie with A. Marie Speaks. This is session 15 and it is March 16th, 2025. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you're returning, I really appreciate the returned audience. Yeah. A little redundant there, but okay, I'm keeping it. We're going with it. We are making our way through Lent. I am really enjoying this first ever go at it. I've given up sweet treats until Easter, and this time around, I forgave or attempted to forego, abstain from processed sugars and desserts prior to this venture here with Lent months ago, and I've sort of noted types of sugars that are problematic for me in the past anyways. So I've never been a sweet tooth person anyways. I wasn't like an overdo it with a bunch of sweets through my life, but of course I had a couple of things I like to have dessert items, but sort of processed mainstream sugars and out of the box desserts really cause migraines with me, and so those I forgave quite a few years ago, decade ago maybe. Really stopped eating them too much and would have them sporadically, in a well-balanced type of different diet and stuff, and then it seemed like I'd be okay and it wouldn't cause such crises for me. But anyways, recently in the last year, I have been contemplating different diets and going through sort of purges and different detachments from other kinds of unnecessary, I guess they're not really luxuries, but they're kind of seen as luxuries, but except they're kind of toxic. They're really not good for us, and so I really want to step away from those kind of things. But all of a sudden I felt then it became an issue for me. It became like I wanted them more. I got into this strange loop with myself where, because I was denying them, all of a sudden I wanted them, and it became really almost like a painful plight, where it became a point of focus to me, and it was a torturous denial. And it's so strange to me because I was never even a person with a sweet tooth. I thought it would be something that would be really simple to just, oh yeah, cut sugars out, bam. But somehow it became a really point of an Achilles heel almost, and it became a thorn in my side and really tarnished my fasting practices, and put me into a place and space. It put me through a great discovery of self, really, which I'm still going through. Of course, I'm not saying I have great solutions or anything, but not that I need solutions is what I've really come down to understanding, that it's not about even that. It's about the process and the recognition and just shifting through the changes that come. And so I sort of had messages to just not, give up. It sounds so negative. But to let it go for a little while, and to love myself a little bit more, and to give myself those little extras if I wanted them, and who cares, of course, don't go over the top with it, but once in a while, if that's what you want to have, go ahead and have them. And that was sort of an easing back into appreciating and really liking and having no problem with my regular fasting lifestyle, intermittent fasting, and sort of a general hunger towards life experiences, hunger towards creative projects and good conversations and daily activities versus actual hunger for food, which generally what used to be my place setting through most of my life. I just didn't really care about food. Eat to live, not live to eat. And so when I decided this time around to try Lent, I was like, oh, I'm going to do sweet treats, because I have this different quality of, there's a purpose behind actually doing it. Not just, oh, it's overall wellness and it's for your good. It's sort of, that was such, I don't know, a trigger for my inner child perhaps, that I had to be defiant against it. But now when I see that it's not a command of being told what to do because it's for my highest good. Instead, it's an offering from within me of passing over, abstaining from that. It's an acknowledgement that it's really not that great. Yeah, it's all right. And if I want them whenever in the future after Easter comes back, of course I'll have them again. But the strength, the commitment of the chunk of 40 days to say no to something and to know that it doesn't hold power over me in that way, and be completely fine and unperturbed and survive through it, it's created a pleasantness and a contentment. And anytime a little bit of I want that, or look at a brownie for a moment or something, it's like, yeah, you have that later if you want to, but where's the root of this sort of sugary sweetness that you're looking for? The love in the Creator, the love to be for yourself, the love of the sweetness in life, remembering that that's instantaneous, that little metaphorical dessert can give to myself straight away. And actually, by giving myself that mental, spiritual, metaphorical dessert during this time, I'm strengthening my spirit, I'm strengthening my armor, I'm strengthening my cord to Creator. Eating deeper, more fruitful dessert in such a meaningful way. And actually, it is an accumulation deeper than I could by eating a dessert. And in fact, by eating that dessert, I'd be tainting that. I'm stepping away from that. It's like, what kind of choice do you really want to make here? What kind of choices am I making? I do want that which is better for me. And sort of by taking a bite of that spiritual dessert, I'm sharing a cake that was made by God, Creator. That's a piece of Jesus's birthday cake, so to speak, or his rebirth cake, his death cake, which I think is even more, should be a more lustrous celebration. And in fact, it is. It's the threshold. It's the death and birth celebration of life in itself, the culmination of events of life, time. So much deeper and more pixelated than just the birthday cake, but what a birthday should, what we should, every time we have a birthday cake, that should be a celebration of, and it is a recommitment to that deeper spiritual self. And it does pixelate and create more depth within our spiritual journey and within the end of who we become at the end. And it has nothing to do with so much deeper than the surface level foods, than superficiality, than desserts or any of that. And yet metaphorically, they are almost the same. So yeah. That is sort of my kickoff, my preamble here. Thanks for joining me here for Sacred Sunday reading. I guess let's get down to reading chapter 9, where we've left off at. If you are new, thanks so much for checking this out. Sometimes I don't get started with a 10-minute talk about myself or anything. A lot of times we just get into reading the scriptures. So this is a little different here today. Thank you for listening to something a little bit or not so relevant, We left off with verse 17, and I think I'll pick it up at 18, and we'll hear a little bit about Jesus' miracles. I might read through quite a few verses before I pick up any of my own commentary, actually, was what I had planned for the reading today. So we'll see where it takes us, though. But I will kick off here with Matthew 9, verse 18. While he spake these things unto them, behold, there came a certain ruler, and worshipped him, saying, My daughter is even now dead, but come and lay thy hand upon her, and she shall live. And Jesus arose and followed him, and so did his disciples. And behold, a woman, which was deceased with an issue of blood 12 years, came behind him, and touched the hem of his garment. And she said within herself, If I may just touch his garment, I shall be whole. But Jesus turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that hour. Again, I'm just going to, this is like the centurion. The knowing of right standing, of right operations, fixes, corrects malalignments that have been forcibly held by our own incorrect, false lies we've held within ourselves. But just by the confirmation that those are false, and we knew they were false, that snaps and pole shifts. It inverts the inner working. It reverts, the inverted inner workings and corrects them to the truth we knew all along was true. And it says, yes, it was. Just like he said, you don't need to touch me, you're whole. But she knew that the truth and wholeness she saw within Jesus is the truth and wholeness that's inside of her the whole time. And her song sings out, yes, it is right. Yes, it is true, because look, it shines within him. That means what's shining within you is truth. And if you get close enough to it in proximity, that it rings so loudly true. The truth is like a magnet, and you can't help but deny it when you feel the pulling. And Jesus, so rightly in his mastership, he feels the calling behind him as it gets closer and says, you don't need proximity in real life. Is not what it's about. It's about unlocking the proximity in spirit, which you've always been next to. You have denied yourself. And in that letting go, it creates healing. The faith is renewed within her, and she is made whole. And so, we'll pick it up with 23. And when Jesus came into the ruler's house and saw the minstrels and the people making a noise, he said unto them, Give place, for the maid is not dead, but sleepeth. And they laughed to him. They laughed him to scorn, But when the people were put forth, and he went in and took her by the hand, and the maid arose, and the fame hereof went abroad into all that land. And when Jesus departed thence, 2 blind men followed him, crying and saying, Thou, Son of David, have mercy on us. And when he was come into the house, the blind men came to him, and Jesus said unto them, Believe ye that I am able to do this? And they said unto him, Yes, Lord. Then touched he their eyes, saying, According to your faith, be it unto you. And their eyes were opened, and Jesus straitly charged them, saying, See that no man know it. He's so smart, because he knows, first and foremost, that it's not him exactly that's doing these things, that he's teaching and unlocking the healing within the beings, and that it's humans' birthright and standing to be these miraculous complexes created by God. And it's distortive incorrectness that creates disease within the body. And that it's because of their faith and knowing and the deep ties to energetic law that they're holding within their beings, they know it so to be true and believe so wholeheartedly that Jesus knows it will work with them. But he also does, he knows that everybody shouldn't be going and telling people that it was Jesus who did this, because it's not anything particularly special to him. It's the Father's work that's doing this. And he's merely an instrument of that work. But I do think also he really understood and knew that most people are not at the capacity to understand that, the differentiated source of where these things come from. And those who do understand it, there's two layers of those who understand, who Jesus would be concerned about, right? Those who are like him and who get it, and those are not of any threat to him because they understand the truth of it. It's not actually something of Jesus, by Jesus, for him to claim of his own, but of the Father, and they would get that and honor that because they offer free service to others as well, and connect to the Father in their own right, and understand that it's a great connection we each hold potential for. Others, they manipulate that connection. They know about the connection, and they know that it's individuated, but they see it as a point of monetization, where they can sort of use it as manipulation of others upon others, and so that they can actually become a source point and hold the reins and be known by the face and the fame. And those who do that malalignment and do the misdirecting work, they really keep their eye out for anybody new to the work, because they either want you part of their show on the sidelines, kicking their controlled version of it, or they want to get rid of you because they don't want everybody to understand that they don't own the show, that the show's for everyone. And Jesus really understood this, which is why he kept telling people, don't tell anybody about my miracles, don't give my name, don't put my face to my name, and go and put my service and my work entangled to me as a human, as a son of man here, because it's the Father who does these things, and he's bestowed me the deeper qualities of connectivity to the rights that we all have. And I'm here to be the 100th monkey, to show all that it is potential, that you can jump higher, that you can run faster, that you all have this to unlock within you, and not to showcase me or to scapegoat. But of course, he knew the threats and understood that at the capacity and the temperature of the room, so to speak, the quality of audienceship that he was coming to be birthed upon within, that great chances are he was going to be scapegoated, he was going to be persecuted, and that people wouldn't be able to differentiate, unfortunately. So yeah, let's get back into the verses of healing the blind here. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to have like a mocking, sort of scoffing laugh there. I do believe everything that he's done, miracle-wise. It's just the blasphemy of others to go forth and spread. And of course they do it because they want others to heal. I'm sure they're trying to do it from a good place of good or whatever, but I just think sort of dishonoring to when something miraculous happens, or you receive a great blessing, or a miracle occurs in your life, some spontaneous gift that you have to go around and put it under everybody else's noses and show them, and then tell them who gave it to you too. It's almost to make them want it and to make them go bother the person who gave it to you, that they should give something away to them as well. It's not right. That's not free service. Now I'm kind of forgetting where I did leave off at, but I think I will just go and start with 28 and say, and when he was come into the house, and the blind men came to him, and Jesus say unto them, believe ye that I am able to do this? They said unto him, Yea, Lord. Then touched he their eyes, saying, According to your faith be unto you. And their eyes were opened. And Jesus straitly charged them, saying, See that no man know it. Right? See that no man know that I healed you, and what was done here. But they, when they were departed, spread abroad his fame in all that country. And as they went out, behold, they brought to him a dumb man, possessed with a devil. And when the devil was cast out, and the dumb spake, the multitudes marveled, saying, It was never seen so in Israel. But the Pharisees saith, He casteth out the devils through the prince of the devils. Right? They try to flip-flop it and say, oh, well, if he speaks to devils, if the devils are unto his power, he must be the most powerful devil of all. And that, right? It was, And Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues, and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease amongst the people. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Then saith he unto his disciples, The harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye, therefore, the Lord of the harvest, that he would send forth laborers into his harvest. Those words, when I first read this, I said to myself, wow. What he just said there's a lot of diseased people here, and we should pray to God that he sends more healers who actually understand how to heal and want to do the work, because there's so much work to be done. What fruitful harvest. But what type of quality has ripened here? I think we can look around ourselves and see pretty plainly. But again, to be able to look out onto creation, onto the many varieties of diseases, of mutative malalignments, of discovery of manyness, but in a negative quality and quantity, places and spaces on the side of the spectrum that are more malnourished, malaligned, more shadowed areas where not enough sunlight and nutrients are passing through. To still see the beauty, to still understand the perfection underneath, and to see that it is a creation of infinite intelligence. It is a co-creative garden here, that each person is a rightful blossom within. I think is sort of a rooted power and understanding of truth, where Jesus comes from and where his miracles work through, because he sees and unlocks the true potentials that lie underneath it all, the real wellness and healthy soul, the whole-sided, the whole-bodied person, the whole health and wellness underneath. It's always been there to begin with, and that the disease and the darkness, the shadows and lies, they can never actually scratch and tarnish. They just cover atop of. And he's so aligned and able to wash all of that away and bring forth the correct image from underneath. But it's the notion and knowing in each individual of us. We know we have that underneath us. We know we are perfection. We know we are worthy of immortality and of this creator source energy, birthed to bestow and to be a part of eternally. We know it, but we have to own it. We have to step into it. And as soon as we do, that's when we find the rising. That's when the help, the healing happens. And it's only because those who had the faith saw the glistening of it in Jesus, and there was the connected handshake that he knew they had their hand extended already. And because their hand is already extended, they already had the door open to knowing that true truth underneath, to giving themselves the real healing. That he could just step in and they could relax and remember, rekindle that honoring with his presence, or with his word, or with his glance, or even, like he said, even with the message sent through the etheric, organic intranet of connectivity humankind has with the centurion and his servant. Just the notion of that impulse, that electric sigh of relief that comes from the mental, spiritual space between those who are close in proximity for a long time. You know, there's that passing through that's so, it's unspeakable, and yet it's totally knowable. You know, these downloads, these upgrades, these other messages in ways that things are passed through energy. You know, even Jesus is learning and teaching through those, and understanding that it's infinite in the variabilities and ways, the variety of transmissions that can take place. They even surprise him, and he said, if you believe it, then it's true. Yes, let's do it. Because he might not have known it or have wanted to infringe upon others in that kind of way. But if it's not infringing to them, if it's a free alignment and service, connectivity already there, source creator says yes to it, then yes, of course, let's go. He says it is real. It is powerful, you know. And that's, you know, that is the real power in positive exchanges. And I feel, I hear those truths through the miracles, through his teachings, and through the exchanges in the scripture here. So thanks so much for listening as we read through chapter 9 here today, Sacred Sunday. If you're listening live, thank you for making your Sundays sacred and for taking time to connect with a higher self, God and source, to spiritual texts, and to tradition. I hope to see you next Sunday. If you're looking for anything from me in the meantime, you can always find me on amariespeaks.com or over on Telegram if you use that platform. And if you are doing Lent, you know, I wish you a wonderful Lenting time or period. I'd love to hear your experiences, what you chose to abstain from. If you'd like to leave in the comments, that'd be really cool. Others could see that there's others out here, you know, dedicated to practice and tradition, and to Christ and to Christianity, to whether you consider it metaphysical, traditional, a variety of it, a part Christian like I like to deem myself, holy, but also partly Christian, connected to God and Jesus, not afraid to say that, but also I'm not afraid to say that I don't want to bow down to incorrect malpractice either. So welcoming all types of different versions and explanations and conversations. If that intrigues you, feel free to leave comments or send me messages. And yeah, have a wonderful day or evening wherever in the world you are. If you aren't listening to this in Lent, March 2025, if it's sometime in the future anyway, thanks so much for your ear and your audience. Love to hear from you as well. Time traveling comments is always welcome. And other than that, yeah, I will catch you next time.